Hey there, guys. Frankomatic here, and since I can't sleep right now anyway, and I'm feeling a little ill, I figured I'd get this out of the way and answer those questions for you guys. And play a little balloon fight at the same time, 'cause that always makes me feel better. I got a pretty good turnout in regards to amount of questions. And I've got a little notepad file open here, so let's see if I can do this at the same time. One of the most common ones I got was what got me started into doing this whole record videos for the internet thing. And it's a lame answer, but I saw someone else do it and decided, hey, what the hell, I bet I can do that. And here I am. Coincidentally, it was Deceased Crab was the first person I saw do this sort of thing, if you're curious. Someone actually asked about if I have any sort of working relationship with other various YouTube people, and not really. I just kind of do my thing. Keep to myself. It's just the way I am. Man, I'm kicking ass today. So, yeah, that's once again another short, kind of lame answer. To continue on that track, someone asked me about my username. Where did you get the username Frankomatic? I'd be putting names on this, but God forbid I try and pronounce any of these. Well, my dad always used to call me Franco, and still does. And being the technophile that I am, I decided to robot it up a little bit, and there you go. It wasn't until fairly recently that I learned that it's also the name of a machine that is used in making sausages. Dead serious. I kinda wish I'd known about that beforehand. Oh well. Let's see. People asked if I like horror movies. I don't. They never really scare me. They don't really get any sort of reaction out of me. And on that note, someone also asked about the Nightmare on Elm Street series and the game. They asked what my favorite of those movies was. I've only ever seen the first one, so by default that's going to be my favorite. And I actually liked that movie. It was pretty good. As for the game, I have never actually played it. I've heard it's not bad. I've seen video from it, but never owned it, never played it. Never even bothered to emulate it. I don't really know why, I just never bothered. I should have just followed my list down the bottom here, but instead I've been jumping all over the place, so it makes this kind of difficult. Oh, a lot of people asked about Live a Live, or Live a Evil, if you want to say it that way. If I'm going to continue it or not. At the moment, my plan is probably not, but if I have the time I need to actually give it the attention it should get, I might go back and do some more of it. It's a good game, and I highly recommend, if you like RPGs, to give it a go. It's a pretty easy RPG for the most part, aside from a few little bits, and I was doing good, but now I failed. Anyways, yeah. Play it if you can. If not, I may or may not get back to it. It's not on the list right now, but it might come back. Let's see. Someone asked why I choose the fairly strange and older games. Well, part of it is I like older games better than I like newer games for the most part. Not that I don't like newer games, I just like the older ones more. Also, there's not really a whole lot of point in doing videos of games everybody and their brother has played, because you've already played it. So there's no reason for me to do it again. It's actually part of the reason why I don't really want to go back to Live a Live. It's kind of all over the place. Oh, this was actually one of my favorite questions to pop up. Somebody asked about how I got through the 6th level of Air Fortress. And I guess I should just come out and say it. I didn't. I had to put in a password to go to level 7. I could not finish level 6 with the save state I set myself up in. Didn't really want to play through the whole thing again. So, yeah, I cheated. Actually, on the subject of old games again, someone asked why I do predominantly older stuff. Admittedly, a part of that for this particular show, I guess if you want to call it that, is that I do not actually have the required equipment to do anything more recent. There are a few things in some of the more recent generations I would like to do if I could, but at the moment, that is not feasible. So, it has to wait. Another one is, someone asked about the selection process for games that go into this thing that I do here. Well, I like to do games that I have played in the past. I've done a few blind runs, but that's generally not the main thing. I like games I've played before and either beaten or sometimes not beaten, in the case of like Mighty Bomb Jack and whatnot. Just because it feels a little more... I totally don't know what word I was going for there, but it feels a little more something than to do something I've never played before, which is part of the reason why I'm having a hard time getting back into Brainlord, but I promise you I will get there when I have a chance. A follow-up to that was, how spaced do I make my videos? And the answer is, I just make them whenever I have the time. I try, whenever I have a bit of time to put together a video, to space it out long enough to make it long enough to get to somewhere meaningful. I didn't used to do that, but now that I've gotten a more easier way to split videos up, I try and make some amount of meaningful progress before cutting it. So that's why you've been seeing more bursts of like 4, 5, 6 videos. But aside from that, it's just generally when I have time, I'll do it. Someone asked about what happens if you catch all the Masterminds in Covert action. I do not know. I have never managed to play the game long enough to do it. I always lose interest at some point. But me and Jade are doing our damnedest to see if one of us can finish it and figure out what actually happens. It's just a very long, somewhat tedious process. What else is there? What is my favorite game? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Panic. If you haven't watched Panic, you should watch Panic, and that is also the one game of the OGT that I encourage, if you have a chance to play it, you need to play it, because there's so much stuff that I just could not show, because that game is pretty huge. I keep entertaining the idea of going through and, doing a run that hits all the little gags in the game, but it would be so long, and I just don't have the time. I'd have to map out a very convoluted map of what buttons do and where they go, and I don't really want to do that again. I did it once for the sake of figuring out where all the traps were, but I lost my notes, so I don't really want to go through it again. What else is there? Someone asked about my religious and political views. That's not something I'm going to get into. Nothing good ever comes of that. So, it's going to stay a mystery. My apologies. Some people asked what I think of the AVGN. He's entertaining, usually. Not always, but usually. Least favorite game I got once or twice? That would be Athena on the NES, as it was my first experience with really terrible games, and it always just kind of stuck with me. And I've played Daikatana, which I know should probably top the list, but that game is actually amusing in how terrible it is. Athena is just bad. I think I got time for one or two more. I didn't really pay attention to when I started. Which I probably should have. I don't have that many more questions I picked out of the set that I got, though, so... Let's see. Oh, a lot of people asked what I use to capture the videos. I use a registered copy of HyperCam 2, which I then run through Media Coder to put into better quality at smaller file size. And if I need to do any splitting, I use Virtual Dub for that. And some people ask about emulators. For the NES games, I generally use FCE Ultra. For Super Nintendo, I use ZSNES. For Sega CD stuff, I use Gens with the Sega CD add-ons. And for C64, I use WinVice. They're all very good and very stable. I haven't had any problems with them at any point, so... all works out well for me. And working out well for me and not being a problem is the main subject matter of OGT. It's all a matter of convenience for me, for the most part. Also, do I have a favorite game I have not done a Let's Play of yet? I would really like to do ALP of Cubivore for the GameCube, but as I said before, right now that's not something I actually have the ability to do, so it has to wait until someday when I may or may not get that ability. That game is awesome, and I had the damnedest time tracking it down back when it was still fairly new. But I loved every second of it, and it's just the kind of crazy thing that the OGT hasn't had in a while, so I would love to be able to get in there and do it. Also, someone asked the single most memorable moment of my gaming life, which I'm going to use as my final question. I'm pretty sure I'm running out of time here. And that would be when me and my mom, back when I was a smaller child, finally worked our way through King's Quest V, the first King's Quest game I ever played, and managed to get to the end. This was pre-internet, I think. It might not be pre-internet in general, but I know at the time we did not have internet in our house, so we figured out that entire game on our own. And I honestly have no idea how we did it, looking back on it, because that game is ridiculous. But finally finishing that was an accomplishment that I will probably never actually top for myself. And as you've seen me play through it again, I'm pretty sure a lot of you can understand why. That game is just retardedly difficult. Actually, one last question. A few people asked about what I do for a living. I would tell you, but I am actually work does not let me talk about it outside of work, or I will get fired. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. And with that, we commit suicide. And I will see you guys when I finally get a little better and get around to starting up that video 1000 stuff. Later.